Welcome to Tymaret Slaughterhouse. As far as opening hand goes, yeah, we'll keep on this one. I like it. We've got two lands. We've got Soul Ring, got some Young Pyromancer, and Siegemore Witch to get some tokens on the battlefield, which sounds like an absolute blast. And we're playing against Liesa. I think that's how you say it, Liesa. Let's just go Liesa for the video. That way I don't butcher it. but yes, welcome to the Slaughterhouse. I hope you're excited to see if you can survive the Slaughterhouse, or at the very least, see if Liesa can survive the Slaughterhouse. And, you know, it's always fun if we can make sure that they don't. That's kind of the name of the game. So let's go lead off with Mountain. I think that'll work out. Lead off with Mountain. Let's go Soul Ring. And then anything else, let's go and pass the turn over to our opponents. We're playing Tymaret, the Slaughter King himself, or themselves. 2 mana activation, sacrifice another creature. Tymaret deals 2 damage to target player or planeswalker, not a creature. It'd be pretty cool if it was creature. Then for another 2 mana activation, sacrifice a creature, return Tymaret from your graveyard to your hand. So Tymaret's definitely a stinky graveyard creature. We can leave him in there and have some fun with it. Let's drop in Swamp. And do we want Siegemore Witch, or do we want Young Pyromancer on the battlefield? So if we end up going Young Pyromancer, either way we'll still can be kind of cut off on that. Let's go ahead and go for Witch. I kind of like getting a 3-2 down, and I haven't really got to play much with Siegemore Witch, so I really do like that. So let's get Siegemore Witch onto the battlefield, and then anything else, let's go and pass the turn over to our opponent. Playing against Liesa. Rather than pay 2 for each previous time you've cast this from the command zone, pay 2 life that many times. Flying and lifelink. Then whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. So if we get some Spellslinger action going, we'll have our Spellslinger Witch and Spellslinger Young Pyromancer with the Spellslinger from our opponent's side of dealing 2 damage. So we'll see if we can't have some fun with it. Now we can get Tymaret down, but at this point, since we do have a couple different ways that we can start to generate a pretty nice board state, I think we're going to try to get our Spellslingers down, and then we will go for Tymaret. That way we have something to do whenever Tymaret comes down. So let's make the lane drop for the turn. It's going to be Swamp. Let's go and push in for 3. I think that sounds like a pretty good plan. Swinging for 3 right now. Now, we do have a Braid, and I think what we'll end up doing with the Braid is we can set it up. No, excuse me. We only have 1 red source right now. So we do want to, I think I want to deal with that Soul Ring. I think that's going to be pretty important. So let's go Young. Let's get Midnight Reaper down, because that'll be 1, 2, 3, and that'll give us just enough for a Braid. So yeah, let's do that. So let's get Midnight Reaper down, and then let's go for a Braid on Soul Ring. That way we can just kind of back them off just a little bit of mana. I think that sounds like a pretty good plan. And that still gives us a Pest token, which does end up working out. So let's get that Pest token onto the battlefield. Let's pop that Soul Ring. And then anything else, let's go ahead and pass the turn to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/JoltMTG, you can use that to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. So if you do use that that link, much obliged. I certainly appreciate it. Let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. Let's give a quick shout out to ingaming.com/Jolt for 10% off of your order. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But if you're keeping score at home while you're hiding in the slaughterhouse, it is officially slaughter time. So let's have some fun. And also, welcome to Fright Fest. Get some spooky Halloween decks going this week, which I'm very excited about. All right, so opponent's going to get down Giver of Runes on the battlefield. Target creature gains protection, and that's going to be Blind Obedience. And the Blind Obedience is, it's not the end of the world. We can get around that. So we've got Night's Whisper, which I really do like. So I think at this point, we can go Young Pyromancer and go Night's Whisper, and I think that works out. I really like doing that. So let's go and tap down Soul Ring, get down Young Pyromancer. Let's go for Night's Whisper, tap down that 1 colorless. Hopefully we hit a land drop. That's going to be the name of the game right now. But let's go and get these tokens going. I like that. Look at that. Draw 2. All right, we do hit another land. That's going to be Swamp. And then next turn, we can end up going for a Painful Lesson. Now, we're just simply sitting at a 1-2. And so we got Siegemore Midnight Reaper swinging in on this one. I like it. So let's go and swing in with the crew. That's going to be 6 coming across. Knock our opponent down to 31. And then we will pass the turn over to our opponent. So there we go. But yeah, as far as the Slaughterhouse, I love playing Tymaret, and we're actually getting off to a very good start, so I'm very happy about this because this is kind of what the core of the deck is. We've got the aspect of Spellslinger in Rakdos, which is always fun to play because when you're playing Rakdos Spellslinger, you just toss in a lot of removal. And to get a 2-for-1 on removal in Rakdos, that's a very good thing. We also do have the recursion stuff in here. We've got Gravecrawler, Tenacious Deed, different ways that we can get creatures onto the battlefield, sacrifice them, and then kind of keep that loop going. Not like a repeatable loop, but, being, if we have a zombie on the battlefield and you get Gravecrawler going, it's always a good feeling, being able to recast it out of the graveyard. Okay, so we've got Painful Truce, which I think... So we can end up going for Tymaret at the very least. Yeah, I like that. So let's go Painful Lesson. We're going to target ourselves for sure on this one. That's going to be 1-2. Let's get these extra tokens. Oh yeah, look at this. This is some Slaughterhouse right here. I like it. All right, get that Elemental on the battlefield. Hopefully we hit the land drop, but I think at this point we're ready to get Tymaret going. And that's going to be Ophiomancer, which is going to be a snake token with Death Touch. Or we can end up going for Squee. And the good thing about Tymaret is that we can just go for that activated ability next turn. So let's get down Ophiomancer. And at this point, the reason we're investing so heavily in our board state right now, we are playing against Orzhov, black-white, and so they might have some sort of way to blow up our entire board state. But, getting our creatures out there right now with Midnight Reaper, that is a very good feeling. So, and do we want to push in on this one? We can have our opponent trade with Angel. And I think I kind of like that. Now, we can trade with Midnight Reaper if you wanted to get some card draw. And that will be an activated ability that they can end up going for. So I think at this point, I think we still swing in. I kind of like this. If they want to make the trade, we're going to cash in a card draw either way. And then if they do make the trade with Angel, oh, excuse me, that's going to be protection. I forgot about that. We goofed up in the slaughterhouse. All right, there we go. I forgot about the protection. So we will keep that in mind. So they've got free choice on this one. Yeah, a little bit of a misplay on my part on that one. But thankfully, they protection from black. And let me see. It has minutes, so they're going to have to block on Midnight Reaper. There we go. Yeah, that is probably the one thing we did not want to happen was to lose our Midnight Reaper. Sorry about that. That was a little bit of a misplay on my part. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. But yeah, as far as the actual deck itself, this is pretty much what we want to do. We've got our board state developed. We can go for Tymaret next turn. One thing that would be really nice is if we can hit another red source. So we'll see if we actually want to roll the dice and go for Thrill of Possibility in hopes that we hit another red source. We've run into a couple different swamps so far, so we should be due for some sort of red source. And at the very least, one of the things that we can do with Zealous Conscripts, we can get this down. I don't know how that actually interacts. I think with Giver of Runes, they can go for that activation in response to Zealous Conscripts. But one thing that we can do that makes Tymaret a lot of fun is that if you do run gain control stuff in here, you can grab one of your opponent's creatures or something like that and use Tymaret's ability to sacrifice that creature and say, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, so let's see what we draw into for the turn. Draw into Bloodghast. And that is going to be Thrill of Possibility. Yeah, let's go ahead and go forward. We want to make the land drop right now. So let's go and tap down Swamp, Thrill of Possibility. We'll go and discard Bloodghast because if we do end up hitting the land drop for the turn, that'll put us in a spot to where we can get Bloodghast back onto the battlefield, which will end up working out. So, and then with that champion, that will, with us getting a lot of tokens down, we might need to hit in a board wipe or get some sort of spot removal against that enter the battlefield, gain life, because that's going to negate. All right, there we go. So we run into some lands. Let's go and drop in Graven. I think that'll be good. So that'll be Bloodghast back onto the battlefield, and we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we will definitely use that ability. So that we'll gain that life, and then let's go Tymaret. Now here's the kicker. With Tymaret, we're going to have at least 3 different sources, so we can start pinging that damage up top to our opponent. Yeah, I kind of like getting down. Or we can wait until next turn, and then at least have an activated ability, because if we tap down Graven and they have some sort of spot removal, that will end up getting rid of it. Let's do this. So let's end up going Sifter of Skulls. I actually like this play just a little bit better. Then next turn we can go for Tymaret. One of the main things with going Sifter of Skulls is after that misplay, we lost Midnight Reaper. I want to have some sort of board wipe insurance. So if we get down Sifter of Skulls and they do end up blowing the entire board up, at least we can do something about that. So, all Alright, so now we can swing in. We're going to end up losing a pretty good chunk of tokens if we swing across, but I really want to start hitting our opponent's life total. So we can swing in with the snake token because we're going to get another snake token. We want to keep up Ophiomancer. They can block on Giver of Runes. That's going to get rid of one of them. That'll be that one coming in, and then we can start pushing in with the pest tokens. I kind of like that. We want to try to negate that champion, and at the same time still hold on to some of our keyboard pieces. So yeah, let's do that. So we're going to go and swing in. We're going to chip away at our opponent's life total. And so they're going to block with Giver of Runes. They're also going to go for protection. Oh, excuse me, they're not. They're going to go for the protection. That's going to gain 1 life. That's going to put us up to 35. Drop them down to 29. And then anything else, we will go and pass the turn over to our opponent. Yeah, one of the things that we definitely want to get rid of is that Giver of Runes. We do have a lot of spot removal in here, so it's only a matter of time before we run into something like that. Because if we get rid of Giver of Runes, that's going to allow us to get rid of that big blocker over there and just be able to kind of just swing in with the entire crew. Now, one of the good things about Sifter of Skulls is we do have a 4/3, and that's going to chew up a lot of their... At least kind of get past a lot of their creatures. With Champion having protection from black and red, or basically protection from our entire deck, that does kind of complicate what we've got going on. And actually, I just now realized that our opponent is just now... just now making a land drop after a pretty long chunk after that, so it feels pretty good to at least have this sort of board state. But if we can get rid of Giver of Runes, or at least get rid of Champion, that would be a pretty good option. Now, if we do run into Toxic Deluge, that would be us going for 2, which would really clean out our entire board state, so we'll see what we can do on this one. We can at least force the Giver of Runes activation with Zealous Conscripts, which I do like that. So let's do this. So let's go and drop in Wooded Foothills, because we want to get another red source on the battlefield. Let's get this popped out. Let's go and grab Badlands. Yeah, Badlands come to play untapped. So let's go and drop in Tymaret. That's going to be black and then red. That's going to allow them to gain 1 life. And with Zealous Conscripts, so we can go Zealous Conscripts. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can actually wait until next turn on Zealous Conscripts. Because we go Zealous Conscripts, that's going to cut us off Tymaret, and then we can do that next turn, and at the very least, we can try to gain control of Giver of Runes, so that way we can pop that. And if something does end up happening with Zealous Conscripts, we've got Volrath's Stronghold to kind of set up something like that. So let's go and drop in Squee, and that'll be 1, 2, and then that way we can still get an activation going with Tymaret. Alright, so we get Squee onto the battlefield. Do we want to swing in again? I think that's the thing. We might want to just end up trying to build up a board state before we swing in. Because that protection, just basically having double protection in a 3, I didn't really like how that last attack step went. So let's just do this. Let's just go ahead and pass the turn. Yeah, you know, if they were in their 20s, we might send in the entire crew. But the bigger kind of swing that we can end up going for, and especially with Zealous Conscript line of play for next turn, I kind of like doing that a little bit better. So anything else, let's go and pass the turn. But yes, like I mentioned, with Tymaret is a deal damage to target player ability, not target creature. So if that was a thing, that would be very nice, because we clean them up. And I don't know. I feel like that wouldn't be that crazy if Tymaret could deal 2 damage to a creature. I don't know. That'd be kind of it'd be fun if I could change it a little bit. I think I would do that. All right. So opponent's got the Vampiric Tutor. We'll see what they end up grabbing off of that. They are a little bit stuck on land, so if they end up grabbing a mana source, they could definitely go for that. If they end up going for a board wipe, we've got the protection with Sifter of Skulls, and yeah, I feel like we can get some pretty good stuff moving. At the very least, one of the fun things about playing Tymaret is you get to a point to where you know, you get late game, you've got a lot of mana, you know, something like just sacrificing Bloodghast and then making the land drop and then bringing it back and just really just pinging your opponent for as much damage as possible. You know, 2 activations at a time. You know, it takes a while to get there, but if you get to the point where you've got the mana and you've got the recursion right there, it's a lot of fun. So we'll see what's in store for us off of that Vampiric Tutor. Okay, and our opponent, I don't know if they didn't have enough mana, but they tapped down, and then now they're going to go to the combat step, or maybe the second main phase, so we'll see what this is going to be. But yeah, I do like that Zealous Conscripts on Giver of Runes. That way we can at least kind of stop that, and potentially use... Alright, so it looks like our opponent will end up going for a board wipe. So they're going to swing in with the crew. That's going to be coming across for a 1-2. We'll at least kind of stop as much damage as possible, so let's go ahead and... Death Touch on Giver of Runes. That's flying, protection from black and red. We have no colorless creatures out there, which we can't go for that. So we got to let that one come across. But we'll at least put the snake token in front of our opponent. Okay, our opponent's going to go Toxic Deluge for 2, which is the vast majority of our board state. Now, that does leave Sifter of Skulls, and that does give us a lot of really good creatures out there. So let's go for this. So let's end. That's going to be the Extort ability. Let's go ahead and sacrifice one of our creatures. We're going to be able to get Squee back. We're going to be able to get Bloodghast back. Let's go ahead and go for the activated ability, 2 damage to target player. And let's tap down the filter mana first. So let's tap down Graven, add Rakdos mana to our mana pool. Let's go for the activated ability, targeting our opponent. And we're going to lose either one. I don't really think it matters on which one that we end up sacrificing, because we're going to lose everybody else anyway. So let's just go ahead and sacrifice. We'll just go ahead and sacrifice Elemental Token. Yeah, I don't think it matters which one we choose on this one. All right, so we're going to get that 2 damage up top to our opponent, drop him down to 28. It's going to be Toxic for 2, which is still going to give us some really nice Sifter of Skull triggers. And still, no, we're going to leave Tymaret. Return it to the command zone. No, it's going to go to the graveyard. There we go. All right, so let's get our triggers on the stack, get these pest tokens, and then get these Sifter of Skulls. And we'll be good to go for next turn. So let's always yield to that Sifter of Skulls. Yeah, get these Scion tokens. Yeah. And now what we can end up doing is going for the Zealous Conscripts line of play, which I do like, getting rid of that Angel. That sounds like a pretty good plan. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so we'll see what we're drawn to for next turn. We got Bloodghast coming out of the graveyard, and we've got Squee coming back out. Yes, we will definitely do that. Bring Squee back to the hand, draw into Thrain Dynamo, and let's go ahead and... So let's go... We end up going Zealous Conscripts. So let's make the land drop for the turn. Let's go bring Bloodghast back onto the battlefield. Yes, we will definitely use that ability. And we can swing it for 1 with the Scion token. So let's do this. So let's go Tymaret. Let's sacrifice a creature. We're going to pay black and then colorless. Tap down Soul Ring. We'll sacrifice Bloodghast. Have that come back out. They do have an active Blood Chief Ascension, so we do need to keep that in mind. But we'll get the Sifter of Skull replacing itself with that Scion token. We're going to be able to return Tymaret. Now, if we do end up going Zealous Conscript right now, unfortunately, that will cut us off going for the activated ability. So if we end up getting down Thrain Dynamo, yeah, because if we end up going Zealous Conscripts, that's not going to be enough to go for Tymaret and the activated ability. So let's go and get Thrain Dynamo down. No, excuse me, we can sacrifice some of these Scion tokens if we want to end up doing that. But I like having a little bit of a board state. Yeah, we can do that play for next turn, and that keeps us open on maybe grabbing their commander too. So let's do that. So let's go Thrain Dynamo. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. I thought about potentially sacrificing a lot of these Scions to get Zealous Conscripts down and Tymaret, but I think at this point we just want to get Tymaret down, and that way we can set it up for next turn, and that really does keep us open. So let's get Tymaret down onto the battlefield. And that's going to be 10 coming across. Yeah, and I like getting in for 10. We could have sacrificed the Scions to try to go for Zealous and the Angel, but I like this. So let's go swing across. It's going to be 10 coming across at our opponent. Drop them down to 20. And then anything else, we will go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So hopefully if we run into the land drop for next turn, that'll give us the repeated sack ability with Tymaret to deal 2 damage to our opponent. And at the very least, we've got Zealous Conscripts for next turn. So even if they do, they've only got 4 mana. If they make the land drop for the turn, that'll be 5. Ooh, that's going to be a Bojuka Bog. Oh, goodness. They target ourselves. Not the end of the world. All we're going to end up doing is losing Bloodghast and losing a pretty good line of play with Volrath's Stronghold. But I like where we're sitting at right now, and especially with grabbing some sort of bigger creature out there. That's going to be a pretty good thing. So we got a 3/3 sitting right now. And they've only got 1 card in the hand, so we'll see what that is. But we've got an active Zealous Conscript that we can sacrifice our opponent's creature, so I do like this. Make sure Respondent or Angel doesn't have any sort of recursion. Yeah, I like that. Okay, we're good. All right, so we run into Blood Artist. And that actually does... Okay, so let's go for the Zealous Conscripts line of play first. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And just in case there's some funny business, let's do this first. So let's tap down that. Let's go Soul Ring. Let's get Blood Artist onto the battlefield. Let's go for Zealous Conscripts. So we're going to gain control of Angel. Yeah, I'm liking this. There we go. All right, so let's go and swing across. Got the whole crew swinging in. So that's going to be 7. That's going to be 9. Plus 7. That's going to be 16. We're dropping down to 4, and I think we've got it on this one. Let's get a Tymaret damage. All right, so we sacrificed an Eldrazi Spawn. Oh, yeah, Blood Artist was a perfect draw. All right, Pota's going to scoop it up on that one. But yes, the Slaughterhouse. Liesa tried to go through the Slaughterhouse. Unfortunately, our opponent was stuck on lands. I do want to highlight that. But you can see what we're trying to do in a deck like this is get a lot of the early token generators out there. Get down something like Blood Artist, Zealous Conscripts. And that's one of the fun things about gain control spells in a deck like this is that we can gain control of it, sacrifice it to Tymaret, and then deal that 2 damage. But even with us getting down Blood Artists, we're able to swing in, drop them down to 4, and then even if they have some sort of, interaction, spot removal, the fact that we can go for this activated ability at instant speed, and with Blood Artists on the battlefield and having Tymaret, hey, that is a slaughterhouse right there. So if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.